We often confuse intelligence with cleverness. How fast someone solves equations, how many books they've read, how sharp their arguments are, and most especially, how high their academic achievements are. But let me ask you this: why do we still see brilliant people, the ones that we consider intelligent, like the scientists, leaders, scholars, falling into the same traps of arrogance, cruelty, unhappiness, and blindness? Psychologists discovered something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, a strange paradox, a phenomenon where the less people know, the more certain they are of their intelligence. Meanwhile, those who truly see, those who truly understand, are often humble, aware of their own limitations, thus seeing themselves less intelligent. The fool is always certain, the wise man has many doubts. And this humility, this awareness, is the first sign of intelligence. Let us anchor this in a story. Over 2,000 years ago, King Ashoka of India set out to expand his empire. He was brilliant, strategic, and feared. He conquered land after land until he turned his armies towards Kalinga. The war was devastating. Over 100,000 lives were lost, families broken, rivers flowing with blood. By every standard of his time, Ashoka was successful. Yet after the war, when he stood in silence over the battlefield, something cracked. For the first time, he saw not as a king, not as a conqueror, but as a human being. That moment of silent seeing was the seed of his transformation. Out of that seeing was a profound awareness, so deep that it changed him. So let us fast forward to the recent times. Jiddu Krishnamurti, one of the most interesting philosophers of the recent years, said that the ability to observe without evaluation is the highest form of intelligence. He called it choiceless awareness. And choiceless awareness means to look at reality as it is, without distortion, without rushing to label or judge. And most of us look through the filters of the past experiences, beliefs, prejudices, and conditioning. When we see someone, we judge them instantly, good or bad, right or wrong, useful or useless. But true awareness is different. It is like standing on a mountain and simply watching the clouds drift away. You are not trying to push or shape them in any way. You are simply witnessing. And this witnessing breaks the chain of reaction. Ashoka, standing among the corpses, did not rush to justify the war or glorify it. He simply saw the suffering that he caused without judgment, without trying to escape. That seeing broke his identity as a conqueror and planted the seed for him to become something entirely different, a compassionate ruler. So you see, most of what we call thinking is actually not thinking. It is reacting. Someone insults us, we react with anger. We fail at something, we react with self-hate. We succeed, we react with pride. These reactions come not from intelligence, but from conditioning. They are mechanical, like a program running on autopilot. But when you observe without judgment, you step out of the mechanical loop. You see anger arise, but you don't become it. And you see fear, but you don't hide from it. You see desire, but you don't blindly chase it. Awareness is the first act of intelligence because it allows freedom. Without it, we are prisoners of our own habits, of our own conditioning. Alan Watts compared it to water. When water is still, it reflects reality perfectly. When it is muddy or disturbed, it distorts everything. Awareness is the stillness that reflects the truth. So there are practical ways to cultivate choiceless awareness. Number one is to practice silent watching. Set aside 10 minutes a day, sit quietly, close your eyes, and let your thoughts drift. Don't chase them, don't suppress them, just watch. At first, it feels chaotic, it feels weird, but slowly you will begin to notice that you are not your thoughts, you are the one watching them. And that recognition of the watcher, of the awareness, is called choiceless awareness. Number two is to pause before labeling. The next time you meet someone new, resist the instant labeling of your mind, the instant judgment. Don't decide right away whether you like them, dislike them, or can use them. Just observe them as they are. That small act strengthens awareness and breaks the prison of judgment. So, the first sign of intelligence is this choiceless awareness, the ability to see reality as it is, without judgment or distortion. But awareness alone is not enough. Life is messy, full of contradictions. The second sign of real intelligence is the ability to live fully, to adapt to changes, and to embrace the paradoxes of life. And this is where Ashoka's story takes us next. We have explored the first sign of real intelligence, which is awareness. Awareness without judgment. But awareness alone is not enough. Life is not neat. It is not symmetrical. It is not linear. It is full of ups and downs, contradictions, love and loss, joy and grief, success and failure. And intelligence is proven not in how much we know, but in how deeply we can adapt to change, how gracefully we can live life with paradox, and how fully we can embrace life as it comes and learn from them. Let us return to Ashoka. After the devastation of Kalinga, he was shaken to the core. Imagine this, a man who built his entire identity on conquest now faced the paradox of his own victory. He had everything: power, territory, fear from his enemies, yet he felt hollow, guilty, and broken. He had all the power in the world that he wanted, but he didn't have satisfaction. He didn't have the power to be at peace, to feel bliss. This was his paradox: outward triumph, but inward collapse. And instead of denying it, Ashoka adapted. He renounced unnecessary wars, turned towards religion, and began ruling with compassion instead of fear. The man who was once glorified in slaughter became known as Ashoka the Great, not because of his conquest, but because he had the intelligence to adapt, to transform, and to live differently when life demanded it. This is the second sign of intelligence, the ability to live fully in a world of paradox, to adapt instead of resist, to learn new things instead of staying the same. Alan Watts often said that reality itself is paradoxical. You cannot have the front of a coin without the back. You cannot have light without shadow, or life without death. Yet most of us try to cling to only one side. We want happiness without sadness. We want freedom without responsibility. We want success without failure. But life is not a single note. It is a symphony. Most people collapse when life gives them contradiction. They run into ideology, into dogma or fantasy, just to keep them rooted. But the intelligent person adapts, flows, and embraces the paradox and the changes in life. There is a Zen saying, when you walk, walk. When you eat, eat. At first, it sounds so simple, but the meaning is profound. To live fully in each act, even when life feels uncertain. Most of us are never where we are. We eat while thinking of work. We walk while worrying about tomorrow. We sit while longing for somewhere else. We live fragmented lives. To live with paradox is to eat when hunger exists elsewhere, to walk when the world feels unstable, and to sit even while the mind is restless, and still to live fully, to live completely. So why is adaptation such a sign of intelligence? Because reality does not bend to our wishes. Life is change itself. Everything is impermanent. Our bodies, our relationships, our beliefs. Those who resist change break, and those who embrace change grow. We need to constantly be open to learn and adapt to life so that we can avoid stagnation. Osho often said that the intelligent person is one who lives dangerously. And by dangerously, he did not mean recklessly. He meant the courage to live without guarantees, to embrace life without demanding certainty, to flow with change instead of fighting it. Ashoka could have resisted the truth of Kalinga. He could have doubled down, hardened his heart, and justified his conquest. Many rulers did exactly that. But his intelligence lay in his willingness to adapt. He let the paradox of victory and sorrow transform him. And in doing so, he became a ruler remembered not for his cruelty, but for his humanity, for his goodness. So there are practical steps to cultivate adaptability. One is to meditate on impermanence. Sit quietly and reflect on something that you cling to. Your job, your health, your identity. Realize that it will change as all things do. This is not to create fear, but freedom. When you accept impermanence, you stop fighting reality and begin living fully. Practice humility, that there is always something to learn. Number two is to practice embracing contradiction. The next time you face a contradiction, like wanting freedom but also wanting security, wanting love but also wanting independence, do not rush to resolve it. Let both exist. Breathe into the tension. Notice that you are still alive, still whole, even when the paradox is present. This builds resilience and depth. To adapt, to live fully, is to stop rushing past life in search of guarantees. It is to live the paradox. Life is fleeting, it is short and temporary, and because it is fleeting, it becomes precious. So the second sign of real intelligence is the ability to adapt to change and to fully live in life's paradoxes. Awareness shows us the truth. Adaptation allows us to live in that truth. But intelligence is still incomplete without its highest flowering. The third and the greatest sign is what Ashoka himself discovered after his awakening, and that is where we will go next. We have seen that real intelligence begins with awareness without judgment and grows with the ability to adapt to change and paradox. But the highest flowering of intelligence is neither awareness nor adaptability. It is something even more radical, something that goes against our primitive instincts of survival. And the third and the greatest sign of real intelligence is kindness. Let us return one final time to Ashoka's story. After Kalinga, awareness broke his identity as a conqueror. Adaptability allowed him to change his life into a direction that he thinks is right. But what truly made him great was his choice to govern with kindness. Instead of continuing the cycle of conquest, he built hospitals, planted trees, dug wells for travelers, sent emissaries, not to wage wars, but to spread peace and teachings of compassion. The man who was once called Ashoka the Cruel became remembered as Ashoka the Great, not because of his military genius, but because his intelligence blossomed into kindness. This is the essence. Intelligence finds its highest expression not in domination, but in compassion. At the most basic level, human beings share animal instincts. Self-preservation, competition, manipulation for our advantage. These instincts are not wrong. They helped us survive. But if we never go beyond them, we remain trapped in fear and self-interest. Kindness is not simply being nice to each other. It is transcending the animal in us. It is recognizing that our well-being is inseparable from the well-being of other people. To act with kindness means that we have seen deeply enough to realize that there is no isolated self. Awareness without kindness can become cold. Adaptability without kindness can become opportunism. But when intelligence matures, it cannot help but care. It cannot help but be kind. This truth was beautifully expressed by Ramana Maharshi, one of the greatest sages of all time. When a devotee asked him, "How are we to treat others?" Ramana replied with these words, "There are no others." Okay, there are no others. In that single statement lies the heart of kindness. It is not a moral rule, not an obligation, but the direct recognition that separation is an illusion. When you realize that others are not others at all, kindness flows naturally as the only intelligent way to live. Osho also described kindness as the overflow of meditation. He said that when you are rooted in awareness, kindness arises naturally, not as a duty, not as a morality, but as joy, overflowing joy. Just as flower releases fragrance without effort, even when you crush it, so the truly intelligent person radiates kindness without calculation. And that is the paradox of kindness. It does not mean weakness, but the ultimate flowering of strength. When you are kind, it means you are no longer in fear. We are in this constant state of fear, always protecting ourselves from the outside world, from other people, from everything. And this fear makes us aggressive towards other people. Kindness is the opposite of that. It is the ultimate flowering of strength and intelligence. Look around you. Look around the world today. We have more cleverness than ever before. We can build machines that think, weapons that destroy, systems that manipulate billions of minds. Without kindness, intelligence becomes dangerous. Ashoka could have used his awareness and intelligence to become more cunning, a better conqueror. Instead, his intelligence flowered into kindness, and that changed history. Kindness is not soft. It is the hardest thing to do. It is easier to be cruel. It is easier to protect only yourself, easier to manipulate for your gain. Kindness demands that we rise above those instincts. That is why it is the greatest sign of intelligence. So if you're waiting for practical steps to cultivate kindness, there is none, because kindness is the byproduct of real intelligence. Kindness is natural. It comes to us when we understand that separation is an illusion and there is no difference between us and other people. There is no such thing as division in this world. The division is only in the periphery. It is only on the outside. It is only an illusion that we can see. So let us step back and look at the journey. The three signs of real intelligence are: number one, awareness without judgment, seeing life clearly with choiceless awareness. Number two is adaptability to change and paradoxes of life, the ability to live fully in a world that is uncertain and contradictory. Number three is kindness, the ultimate flowering of intelligence, where awareness and adaptability merge into compassion for all life. Ashoka's story unites them all. Awareness broke his blindness, adaptability gave him the courage to change, and kindness made him a truly great leader. And so intelligence is not about cleverness, not about IQ, not about academic achievements like PhDs and doctorates, or the ability to win arguments. Real intelligence is a way of living, seeing clearly, deep adaptability, and a heart of kindness. And the world today does not need more clever minds. It needs more compassionate ones. So if you can embody these three signs, you will not only be intelligent, you will also live fully.